Hey guys, what's going on? This is Thirteenth Olympian, and today for you guys, I'll bring you guys a Skadi, the Goddess of Winter build guide. This is like, my third build guide, I think. I've done Bologna and Chiron, so she will be my third one. I know she's also the newest god added to Smite, and honestly, I think I am a pretty decent player of her so far. I have really only played her in ADC and solo lane, so I'll be doing build guides of those. Honestly, they're pretty similar builds with minor changes, but I really don't think in the gameplay I show you guys I build them differently, but I will explain those changes when we get to the build portion of the guide. But first, as I do with the rest of my videos, I'll be going through her abilities, then I'll go through the build, and then I'll go through some rationale and actual gameplay with you guys and explaining that gameplay. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so for Skadi, the Goddess of Winter's passive, it is called Calder the Winter Wolf, and it reads: Calder fights by Skadi's side and has two forms, Beast and Elemental. While in Beast form, he can attack enemies and be attacked. While Elemental, he's immune to attacks and regenerates health over time. His forms can be controlled with Skadi's Rune of the Hunt, but he will be forced into Elemental form if he loses all hit points. This is her passive. Really, I don't know really how to explain it very much in detail, other than it couples with her 2, which is Rune of the Hunt. This allows you to be able to basically set her wolf upon any enemy that you wish, and it'll just basically just chase him down until it kills him or until it runs out of health. So Calder, we'll be able to go more over his passive and his 2 when I get to his 2. So her 1 is Piercing Cold, which reads: Skadi throws an icy spear forward, dealing damage to enemies and slowing them for 3 seconds. Calder's basic attacks deal double damage to targets afflicted by Piercing Cold. This is what you'll be using mainly to clear minion waves, because it's just a projectile, so it just basically shoots out and it slows enemies. So if you just happen to be chasing someone down, go ahead and throw it on Piercing Cold, and later on, when I go through the build guide, if you happen to have Frostbound, that's just going to be complete. It's going to slow down your enemies so much, there's really no point in them trying to run out at that point. So we'll go more over that when I go to the build and rationale. Her 2, Rune of the Hunt, reads: Toggle. Skadi marks an enemy for Calder to hunt. While toggled on, Calder assumes beast form, chasing and attacking the marked enemy. If a marked enemy dies, Calder attacks other enemies nearby. When toggled off, Calder stops attacking and returns to Skadi, reverting to his elemental form on the way. This ability can be activated at rank 0, and Calder gains new abilities as it ranks up. So at rank 1, Calder gains a dash attack, which is really OP when just trying to chase enemies down. Rank 3, Calder's kills heals him, so basically if he kills someone and he's done like 1 rune of health, he'll just regenerate, I think maybe 1 or 2 runes, I'm not entirely sure, I think it's just 1 rune. And then at rank 5, so on max rank, Calder's basic attacks give Skadi 10% increased movement speed, which is just really OP in general because it gives the goddess herself a lot of movement speed. Really, you can be using Calder to chase down enemies, and you can also set it on towers. So if you set it on a tower, it'll start attacking the tower, of course. It'll actually do damage to the tower as well, so that's why in the about section, Skadi is also known as the pusher, because she can just really push lane. If there's no one in the lane, when she's in the lane by herself, there's really, she pretty much has tower if at a certain level. Like if she's level 1, she's not gonna be able to get the tower really easily, but if she's if it's mid game and the tier 1 towers aren't down yet, and with Calder, she's gonna be able to set Calder on it and just take the tower. And there will also be a little bit extra part to taking the towers when I get to her ult, which is just really OP, because if you were to chain her Rune of the Hunt along with her ult when taking down a tower, you basically have the tier 1 tower, tier 2 tower, you basically have the tower. So her 3, Permafrost, reads: Skadi freezes the ground for 5 seconds in a target location. The icy area deals damage to enemies that touch it and continues to deal additional damage every 0.5 seconds they stay on it. Gods who step on the ice are slowed and lose control of their movement while sliding across. Also, Skadi's movement speed is increased by 25% while standing on the area. So, of course, it's got initial damage, which is as you see it, and then it's got damage per tick. Damage per tick doesn't do too much damage, but you can couple, in early game anyways, what I would do is I usually couple her projectile, her Piercing Cold. I'll use that and I'll go ahead and throw down her Ice Carpet Permafrost. That way it'll clear the wave a little bit quicker, but once you have her, crap, I keep forgetting the name. Once you have Piercing Cold at max rank, it should be able to clear the wave by itself. So Early game clearing, that's what I would use, or permafrost can be used to just basically mess with your enemies, poke at them really, and just get them sliding around. And it also sets some things up as well, because they'll just be sliding around, and that can give your team time to come in and get in with the gank. Also, your teammates can get stunned on this. Like, what may happen is like a Kumba or a Ymir can like come up and like stun your enemies, and you can throw down permafrost. They'll take the initial damage, they'll be slowed, and they'll also be taking the damage per tick. So they'll be stunned on it, so they'll be taking the damage per tick, and once the stun is done, they'll still be sliding across, and they'll just be really annoying. So permafrost is just really, really good. All of her abilities are really good, especially her Rune of the Hunt. But finally, to her ult, Winter's Grasp, which reads: Snowstorms surround Skadi and Calder. Upon activation, enemies in range become rooted and Calder restore to full health. The storms persist for 5 seconds while dealing damage to enemies every half second, and making Calder immune to damage. Now, this is what you will really be using for pushing the towers, because if, let's say you had Calder, Rune of the Hunt, going after a tower, and he's down to 1 rune of health, what you can do is go ahead and use Winter's Grasp. It'll regenerate all of his health. He'll still be attacking the tower, and he'll be immune to health. And what'll happen is when it's done, he'll still have the 5 runes, and he'll be able to take 5 more ticks of rune damage before it comes running back to you. So you really get a feel for why she's called the pusher, because she can just push towers, push lanes. Well, you can have your team, you can split push really well with her. She's like in a way like a Sol, just because she can get towers down pretty quickly in the early game, whereas Sol can do the same thing, but she's by herself. But the fact that Skadi, I almost call it Skadi. Skadi just has a wolf. I call her direwolf. I call her direwolf actually. She's got Calder just come up and just wreck you. She's got permafrost, which can allow your team to catch up, and her ult does quite a bit of damage because it also surrounds Skadi herself and Calder. So if you have Calder going after another enemy, it'll surround him and you like in separate locations. Like, you don't have to be like near each other for it to like go off. So it's really, really, really good when trying to kill enemies and when trying to tank towers, and that is why she is called the pusher. Now, after this, we'll be going on to the actual build guides. I'll see you guys when I get there. Okay guys, so welcome back. So here is the build for Skadi, the goddess of winter. So ignore everything from the core, damage, and defensive. We're going to first start off with the starters. So I'm going to be starting off with, if you were playing her in the ADC role, you can build her different ways in the early game. Starting out, you can start building Death's Toll, whatever Charge Morningstar start out. Crap, I forgot what it starts out as. It starts out as Morningstar, so you can start Death's Toll, Morningstar, and get potions. But what I basically, most of the time when in the early game I start out with, I just go ahead and start charging or rushing Charge Morningstar. That way I can go ahead and go for Transcendence in the early game, because Transcendence is really what Skadi goes for. It works well with her really, because her Calder, I want to call it a direwolf, but I want to be like proper in this build guide. But Calder, his damage stacks off of the amount of power that Skadi has. I keep getting the names mixed up, holy crap. So he stacks off the amount of power she has, and that's how how much damage he does. So going ahead and rushing Transcendence in the early game is really, really nice. So what I would usually do, I'd go ahead and rush Charge Morningstar and go ahead and get some health and mana pots. But for those of you that want to maybe have more of a traditional start, or I guess safer start, because really if you just have Charge Morningstar and potions, you're not going to be doing too much with that. So you can go Death's Toll and boots or Morningstar if you want to, but I would recommend going for Charge Morningstar, and this is also what I would recommend for solo lane as well. Just because being able to go Transcendence in the early game is really good, and building stacks early game will help you later on in the late game. That way you're not building stacks in the late game. Anyway, so the rest of the build as an ADC, what you would have is Transcendence, of course. Warrior Tabby, like I said, you can go Ninja Tabby because of the attack speed and stuff, but because this gives you more power, and they all give you the same movement speed, so it doesn't really matter, but since this gives you more power, it'll just have Calder do a lot more damage. And then for the ADC, you can either have a Kaival as your core or Aussie. Aussie will give you lifesteal, a lot of attack speed and a lot of penetration. Whereas Achilles will give you penetration and a lot of attack speed, and its passive is pretty decent as well. So I would probably go for Achilles, honestly, just because it has more attack speed and I really like its passive. But if you want to head and go for early game lifesteal, go ahead. I would actually recommend going for lifesteal too, but personally, I go for Achilles, but I would recommend going for Aussie or Soul Eater. Soul Eater gives you a lot of attack speed and a lot of lifesteal as well. It's just Aussie has a really cool, it gives you pen, and it has a really nice passive where if you drop below a certain amount of health threshold, you can just get a lot more lifesteal off of that. After that, here's Frostbite Hammer. I was explaining this earlier with the whole slow thing with her, her one. I keep forgetting what it's called. If you get a 1 off, because a 1 does a 3-second slow, and if you're able to hit it with a few more basics, with Frostbite Hammer, they're just going to be really, really slow, and that'll give Calder enough time to catch up to them, it'll give you enough time to ult, and just give you enough time to kill your enemies, so I really do recommend getting Frostbite Hammer, plus it gives you power, so it'll also increases his, Calder's power. Then Concise, I know you can only have 6 items, so you're going to have to like get core items and then pick 2 of these. So Concise, really good if you're going against tanks. It just melts damage, melts health, not damage. It gives you decent attack speed and decent power as well, but really, you only get really Concise for its passive, which it just melts people's health. That's really all it does, and it's really, really OP. But if you're not really going against a really, really tanky team, I mean, you can go ahead and go Concise, because I know a lot of players in Season 3 are just regularly building ADCs with Transcendence, Tabby, Achilles, Aussie, Concise, and like another item. So if that's what you want, go ahead and build Concise. But there's a few other items you can get. Like I said, a Soul Eater, you can go a Soul Eater instead of Aussie. But another item possibility that you can get is Stone Cutting Sword. This gives you 50 power and 10 movement speed, which is really good for an ADC. And with the power, it'll just help Calder's damage scaled really, really nicely, and its passive is really nice too, because it just also decreases your opponent's protections for a limited amount of time, of course, but it gives you a lot of power and some movement speed. Now onto the defensive. You really, really don't need defensive items unless you really, really are forced to. If you're in like a 1v1 with Skadi, yeah, go ahead and build like Breastplate or Bulwark, but you really don't need to build defensive items with ADCs in general. I really don't. You can go ahead, go Breastplate or Bulwark. Those are the only 2 I'd really advise going for. Breastplate gives you a lot of protections and a lot of mana and gives you some cooldowns, whereas Bulwark has really, really nice passive and it gives you a lot of magical protection. So that is pretty much it for the ADC build guide. The solo lane build guide, on the other hand, is pretty much the same exact thing, honestly. And I know I explained you can go for Charge Morningstar at the beginning, which is something that I usually go for, regardless, unless you want to go ahead and go for Warrior Tabby first, which by all means go ahead if you would like to, but Charge Morningstar will allow you to build Transcendence and Transcendence stacks and so on and so forth. And Skadi can be a mana hungry god if you just play really aggressively, and if you're just casting her 1s, 2s, and 3s left and right, she's going to be really mana hungry god, so you're going to want to have a lot of mana to back that up. Like I said, pretty much the same thing, except I wouldn't recommend going for Aussie as your core. For your 3 items, I'd go for Transcendence, Tabby, Achilles, and Soul Eater. Really just because solo lane's more of a 1v1 kind of thing, so having more lifesteal and attack speed is really nice. And then you can go ahead and build Concise and Frostbound. It really all depends on your preference and who you're going against. But I would definitely recommend going for Frostbound, mainly just for the slows, and it just allows your team and yourself and Calder to go ahead and just go for the finishing kill. And other than that, guys, I will be right back, and we will have some, I guess, actual gameplay of her. Be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. Now, as you do see, I did go ahead and opt to rush for Transcendence in the early game, and I went ahead and picked up a couple of potions, and just because the situation called for it, I went ahead and picked up Purification. Now, of course, relics depend on who you're going against. If I was going against someone like Sylvanas, I would have gone for a Curse or something like that. But anyways, other than that, so for ability wise, for Skadi in the early game, you're going to want to go ahead and start focusing on her 1 and her 2 first. At level 1, you're going to want to get her 1. Level 2, you're going to want to get her 2, just for the rank bonus that Calder gets. At level 3, you're going to want to go ahead and get her 1 again, or her 2. It really depends on your preference. If you want to get her 1, if you want to like do more damage to the wave and clear faster. Her 2, if you want to do more damage with Calder and just be able to gank a lot more. And at level 4, you're going to want to get her 3. Now that'll be like the first and last time you're getting rank 3 for a long time. Of course, at level 5, you're going to get her ult, and so on and so forth. You really want to focus on her 1 and her 2 first, and do her ult whenever you can. But, you know, you're not going to be able to get her ult a lot until, you know, a certain amount of time passes. But her 1 and her 2, definitely want to focus on those, because those are going to be the 2 big things you're going to do damage with. And other than that, hope you all enjoy like the early game. For the ADC, I will see you guys when I get back with the mid game. Okay guys, so welcome back. As you see, by level 12, I do have my 1 completely maxed out and my 2 almost maxed out. I have my 3, just put 1, I guess, rank in there. And then I have my ult almost, I'm getting there pretty much. And I did opt to go for Soul Eater just because I wanted more attack speed instead of going for Aussie. Now here in around 15 minutes, I do have a really cool play I wanted to show you guys coming up here in a second. So it's also honestly really clutch on my part, so I just thought I'd show it to you guys for the mid-game thing. So I'm going against this Ymir and the Chiron. I almost died to the Chiron, but I somehow pulled it off. Calder goes up and eats Ymir's ass, basically. Then Serket comes up out of friggin' nowhere, like John Cena, and tries to kill me. Somehow I'm able to dodge like everything she throws at me. She goes ahead and jumps into the tower thinking she's going to kill me, but then right when she jumps on me, I just dodged, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'm not going to run away from this. So I went ahead, threw my 1 at her, killed her, and that was basically the end of her. So really you want to use your 3 just throw your enemies off. Then if they're like really like helter-skelter, and if they're like out of place, you want to go ahead and just throw Calder at her, and then you want to go ahead and use your 1 for the main damage thing, and just throw basics, bomb basic attacks. And if Calder happens to be low health, just go ahead and pop your ult, and basically good. I mean, that's pretty much your combo. And other than that, I will be back for the late game. Okay guys, so welcome back. As you see, I did go ahead and complete my build with Achilles, Titan's Bane, and Stone Cutting Sword. Now, Titan's Bane is actually an item I had completely forgotten to add in the build guide, guys. I apologize for that, so go ahead. I'm probably going to put an annotation back to where I put the build guide anyways. But yeah, Titan's Bane, really, really important. It's going to allow you to go ahead and just wreck towers and wreck everything. Wreck everything in your path, basically. That's what Skadi and Calder do. And yeah, that is pretty much it with the build guide of the ADC. The Cerulean's not too much different. I'll really just have to go over a few other things you probably have to change. And yeah. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the ADC portion of this build guide. I'll be right back when I come back with the solo portion. Okay guys, so welcome back with the solo lane part of the build guide. I know I think I had it a little backwards. For some reason, instead of going for Soul Eater here, I went for Aussie. But it doesn't really matter. Either one of them are really, really good items to get. I think it was just the circumstances for this game, which is why I got Aussie. But I would suggest, instead, I made the mistake of going for my 1 first. I would have gone ahead if I was playing if I was playing another solo game with Skadi, I would have gone ahead and probably gone for maxing out her 2 first, because 2 is going to be doing all the damage that she's going to be doing. Especially if it's a 1v1, not have to worry about too many other people coming in and ganking you. Other than maybe the jungler or the mid laner from time to time, but really you want to get that 1 off first for the solo lane. And other than that, guys, hope you all enjoyed this build guide. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you all did. I know this one is still a little iffy build guide. I had a few things messed up, like Titan's Bane, for example, but hopefully you all enjoyed this. Please tell me in the comment section below if you did enjoy this, and if you'd like to see any other build guides coming from me, the 13th Olympian. Go ahead and follow me on social media too. I'm at Twitter at, I think, OlympianSubs, with 13th being an actual, like, 13 and then 2 letters TH. And other than that, hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to follow me on social media. And other than that, I will see you all next time. Peace.